Hi, my name is Rochelle Franklin. I'm going to be performing the post-operative teaching video for you today. And first off, we're going to start with hand hygiene. We're going to make sure that we're washing at least 20 seconds. And then once we're done, we'll introduce ourselves to our patient. Hi, my name is Rochelle Franklin. I'll be performing some post-operative teaching to you today and provide patient privacy. The first teaching that we'll be performing today is the diaphragmatic breathing. The purpose of diaphragmatic breathing is to open up those alveoli sacs that may have been closed off or blocked by secretions like mucus, fluid, or just plain not use. And once we open those up, it promotes the mucus to be expectorated and also our oxygen exchange to improve and our lung function to improve. All right, so we're going to have our patient up in a semi-Fowler's or high Fowler's position, and we're going to instruct them to place the palm of their hand on the lower border of their ribs. And while we're doing that, it'll be lightly, and so no pressing down or anything like that. We're going to instruct our patient to slowly deep breathe and inhaling through the nose. And then we should be expanding, kind of pushing against our hands with our diaphragm. You'll also feel this downward motion, and that is totally normal. That is your diaphragm expanding so that your lungs can open up and receive more air. So we're gonna inhale through our nose, and we're gonna hold that for a count of 3, and then we're gonna, with pursed lips, like you're whistling, we're going to slowly release and exhale. We're going to repeat this 3 to 5 times for a total of 10 times every hour on the hour while you're awake. So once again, I'm going to breathe in using our nose for 3 seconds, and we'll hold. And you should be expanding, and then through pursed lips. And we'll repeat that 3 to 5 times, 10 times every hour on the hour. Next up, we're going to be teaching you about the incentive spirometer and how we properly use it. So incentive spirometer comes pieced together in a bag. There is a valve right here, and you're going to connect the valve. And then you're going to set your goal. How you set your goal is usually in a user manual. You'll have a guide, a little grid that tells you what your suggested target is. Since I am 30 years old and 66 inches and a female, my goal should be 2,750 milliliters. So how you do that is you're going to set your goal. You have your incentive spirometer set up, and once you do that, you're going to exhale completely, and then we're going to place this mouth portion tightly around our mouth, and making sure that there's no air leaking out. We're going to inhale slowly and deeply within the normal range. And the normal range is this smiley face right here. And these sad faces are not where we want to be, okay? So we're going to inhale slowly and deeply. Holding for 6 seconds and exhaling slowly for 10 times, okay? And we're gonna let the piston go down as we're exhaling. And that should be for every 10 times per hour unless the provider is requesting otherwise. The patient is going to be placed in a high Fowler's position for this, and as I mentioned before, the target is based on height, weight, and gender, and you can find that in the user manual and record it. The importance of the incentive spirometer is similar to the diaphragmatic breathing. We're moving those secretions from a smaller airway like an alveolar sac to a larger so that we can expectorate those up and clear the airway so that we can have proper lung function, okay? You should use an incentive spirometer at least 10 times an hour as per the doctor's orders. The goal of incentive spirometry is to continue the lungs deep breathing, okay, at a regular rate. COPD patients are indicated for this as this helps them with normal lung function. Patients who undergo abdominal or thoracic surgery are also indicated for this, as those are the highest risk, but really anybody who is post-operative is also indicated, as we use drugs that depress the respiratory system, and also we use ventilators during surgery where the patient is not breathing on their own. We are manually breathing for them. For a normal adult, a tidal volume is 500 to 600 mLs. For an adult male, lung capacity is about 6 liters. For an adult female, the lung capacity is 4,200 milliliters for lung capacity. Next up, we're going to be doing huff coughing. With huff coughing, you're going to tilt your chin up. You're going to sit up. You're going to breathe in 3/4 full within your lungs, of course through your nose, and then hold for 2 to 3 seconds, exhaling fully to move the mucus out as well and clear your lungs. You're going to repeat this 2 times. Then you're going to do 1 strong cough to clear out that mucus. And you will do this for a cycle of 4 to 5 cycles to clear out those secretions, okay? So once again, 3/4 full, hold for 2 to 3 seconds, and then we'll do that again, 3/4 full, hold for 2 to 3 seconds, and then 1 big cough out. You will want to report any sputum, color, malodor to the nurse or provider. So make sure you do that, and same with consistency as well. Okay, and then next up we'll do controlled breathing. So we're going to sit straight up on a chair, okay? And with sitting straight up on a chair, we're gonna kind of like lean a little bit forward, and we will splint our incision. We're gonna inhale, and then when we can, we'll lean forward and exhale, relaxing. And by doing that, we are coughing at least 2 to 3 times as we're exhaling with our mouth slightly open, okay? So leaning forward. And we will do that every hour on the hour, a couple of times, okay? Next up is changing positions. So it's important for perfusion and preventing pressure ulcers, aspiration, atelectasis, contractures. We want to promote the blood flow, and this also includes dying patients and patients with strokes. There is research that suggests both, to only do one side where it was unaffected or the other side that which is effective, but either way we want to continue movement every 2 hours to prevent any pressure ulcers, skin breakdown, lung and heart perfusion breakdown. We want to make sure that we're doing that. And then after that, we're going to be performing our repositioning, okay? I'm going to reposition the camera so that you can see. All right. So we're going to have the rails up. I'm going to use this as my railing, and we're going to bend our knees and press our heels against the mattress and lifting our buttocks up. So similar to this. So this is my railing, just pretend it's right here, and we're going to push our buttocks up and bending our knees, and then with one leg straight and holding on to the other rail, we're going to have our patient move themselves, and while they're doing that, they're going to be splinting their incision, and that should be done every 2 hours as well, okay? And that is how we would reposition our patient. Next up is going to be the leg exercises that we want to perform on our patient, and I will show you. So this can be in a semi-Fowler's position or patient comfort position. Instruct the patient to bend the knees. So bend the knees, semi like this, bend the knees. And then we are going to raise the foot in the air and hold the position for 2 to 3 seconds, okay? And from the lower extremity back to the body, we're gonna move up and down, up and down, up and down. All right, and then have your patient extend the legs to the bed and complete a sequence of 5 to 10 times every hour while awake. So extending the leg, back and forth on the bed. And we are also going to instruct our patient to plantar flex. So flexing up and down towards the mattress. And that is going to be repeated 5 times each hour while awake, to optimize circulation for the feet and promoting the prevention of pressure ulcers as well. And also we will do that. So we do it for each part of the leg. So we did it for the foot and ankle. We did it for the calves. And now we're doing it for the thigh muscles as well. Okay. So with that, we're going to make circles with our ankles. And that'll go left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left. And do those motions and repeat 5 times every hour while awake. This also promotes blood flow to the foot as well. And when I don't think that I kind of described the leg extensions properly, we're flexing our thigh muscles to promote blood flow in the upper body and extremities, okay? And then if I didn't use gloves, I would remove the gloves and then perform hand hygiene to prevent any transmission of any infectious diseases to my patients and not sharing germs. All right, well, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.